What is up, everyone? I'm Portal. This is my co-host, Dragon. Today we have some amazing LEGO Brickfilm news. We also have the guest of the week, which is Chris W., who runs the Brick and Motions YouTube channel. Our interview with him is at the very end of the stream. You can click it in the cards. But first, Dragon, what is some news today?
Well, I mean, not today, but tomorrow is May the 4th, and that is known as May the 4th be with you. Many brick filmers are probably doing a Star Wars stop motion of some sort, and I mean, YouTubers in general will be doing Star Wars related content.
Yeah, definitely a great time to pitch in, do some Star Wars stuff. Anything you can think of Star Wars, I think now's a great time. Kenobi, coincide those things is a great way to get views, great way to kind of boost up and hang out with the community. Also, recently, in the past year, but especially, this week we want to talk about it, is the rise of CG, quote-unquote, brick films, which are made kind of like the Lego movie for YouTube, and they're meant to look like a brick film, but they're not. They're digitally created. And this brings a lot of people to question, are these films part of the brick filming community? What's the pros? What's the cons? What do you feel like, Dragon?
I don't know. I feel like there's so much nuance and talent that goes into like actual brick filming, the techniques necessary. Like you can really see a skilled brick filmer. And I mean, I feel like it's more cartoon, I want to say. Like it does still follow some of the limitations of like the characters, but it doesn't follow the limitation of physics, which I would say takes away some of the need for talent. I wouldn't consider them brick films. I would consider them more animations.
I agree. I think they need their own term because they're part of the Lego film community. But I would agree, they're not quite brick films. There's something else there. So we got to think of a new word for that. What do you think, Dragon? New word.
New words are for nerds. Cartoon
Big
brick?
films. Cartoon brick. Oh, there we go. Cartoon brickwork.
What was the thing you said before?
I don't know. I don't remember. We'll have to go back. Also, the Doctor Strange movie just released, which begs the question, is it okay to post brick films with spoilers? Specifically, when is it okay? First of all, put the spoiler warning in the front of the video, and then don't put spoilers in your thumbnail and your title, at least for 2 weeks, because remember, even though some of us are in America, it takes at least 2 weeks for everyone else to get a chance to see it, and for people in America to get a chance to see it. So at least wait 2 weeks before thumbnail spoilers, I think. And even then, like, have a little spoiler warning. What do you think, Dragon?
I don't know. I feel like I've spoiled myself too many times without proper spoiler warnings. Because sometimes people just sort of assume that you already know that. Mm-hmm. So it's weird. I would say definitely I think just a simpler spoiler warning tag is good.
Yeah. And maybe don't have the finale in the picture. At least for the first week and a half, 2 weeks. In a month, it's fine. People have seen it if they're going to get out and see it. But, yeah. So our brick film of the week this week is Lego City Stunts Stop Motion. And this is quite an amazing video, I think, for a lot of reasons. First of all, it just feels very big with an opening pan zoom, which is something you'd see in a real live action film. And it's done really well. This was created by Counter656. He has 1 million subs. What do you think of this video, Dragon?
It's pretty interesting. So the big thing that stood out to me was the fact that all of the CG effects weren't central to the film. They were always augmented. They were little things that made it I
agree. It worked without it.
Exactly. The flames were still brick built, but there was a little bit of CG flame behind them.
Yeah, I really like that. That's an effect I haven't quite got down yet, but I was trying out with my Black Pearl film, and I think it really helps. They also have the sun glare, which is they've shined a light into the camera, but then they've added parts of that in post. The shaking is real, but they've added more shaking in post. That enhancement, I think, really helps meld the actual effect and the digital effects, and I think it's really great. Any other thoughts?
No, I think you covered it perfectly.
All right, well, shorter pod this week because I want to get into this amazing interview with Chris W. So here you guys go. Welcome, everyone. Today I'm here with Chris W. He runs the Brick and Motions YT channel, or helps run it. You want to say hello? Introduce yourself.
Hi, yeah, I'm Chris Wynn. I'm one of the admins of Bricks and Motion, and I mostly post on the Bricks and Motion YouTube channel. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. So I got to start with the channel is currently at 950 subs. You guys are really close to 1,000. Is there any plans like what you're gonna do to celebrate when you get there?
I don't know. There was the one thing I said at one point was I made a set review of one of the Lego Minions sets, and just on a whim, I remember saying when we get to 1,000, I'll do a temporary tattoo of a minion. We'll see if people hold me to that. No, yeah, we're coming up towards 1,000. That's pretty cool. We just made the video or the YouTube channel to just kind of make a place for updates and contest announcements, but it's kind of grown into its own little thing. And over time, the past couple of years, it's growing, and I'm really enjoying it. Just making videos for the channel. It's basically like I kind of stopped posting on my own channel. That's the YouTube channel. The Bricks and Motion YouTube is basically my channel now, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I've been loving watching your guys' videos. I found you with the iceberg and kind of went back recently, going through everything. I love that tattoo idea, though. We might have to steal that at some point.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, the iceberg video was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. We worked on it for a couple of months, and the release kind of coincided with Brickfilm Day, and I'm glad it has been getting a good reception, and people, yeah, like such as yourself, just finding it randomly, and there you go.
Yeah, it's really great. I was surprised to find stuff in there that I didn't know about. So very
Mhm.
great video. What got you into brick filming? And then after that, what got you into the current position you have with Bricks in Motion?
So what got me into brick filming was, I mean, I was a fan of Lego for a young age, and then it was the Lego Star Wars movie making contest, which was in 2007. It's basically a contest where you just had to make a little animation with Lego, and I made a short film called Lego Star Wars Episode 7. And of course, it was 2007, so the real Episode 7 didn't exist. But I just made it in a night. It was made on a little camcorder that recorded with little short bits of video instead of still images. And yeah, I put it together, and I went to submit it, and it was the deadline had just passed, so I was kind of disappointed. But I kind of stuck with it. And then a couple years later, I just made a couple little ones on my own. A couple years later, found the brick filming community. And yeah, I got plugged in with there. But when it comes to where I am with Bricks in Motion, I joined in 2010. And yeah, I just was in the community for a good number of years. And then I was fortunate enough to be friends with Nathan Rossi, otherwise known as Fun Sucker, Fantastic Films. He hosted Brawl, which is the week-long contest. And when he kind of stepped down from hosting that, I kind of stepped in and said, "Hey, would it be okay if I took it on from here?" And he said yes. And I've been hosting that since 2018. And speaking of which, I need to start doing some preparations on the next one. Do you know what Brawl is? Might I
Yeah,
ask?
I was actually going to finally join this year, and then it just kind of skipped past. But hopefully next year,
I
me and
gotcha.
Dragon are gonna enter into that.
Well, yeah. Well, Brawl happened. Well, Brawl is the week-long contest that starts in. I haven't actually determined a date yet, but it'll probably be either mid to late June or in July. So you might the one that happened a couple months ago was THAC, which is the day-long contest, as opposed to Brawl, which is a week. So that I need to start planning that very soon. But I've been hosting that since 2018 every year, and that kind of got me into like working with the staff. And then eventually, I became a moderator when I started hosting Brawl, and then eventually worked my way up to admin and alongside Silly Penta. And yeah, it's great. We work hand in hand, great friends, and it's been a lot of fun being co-admins together.
That's great to hear. When you talk about a lot of these guys you're good friends with, which is great to hear. Did you meet online or in person? Have you known each other, in person for a while, or is it mostly over the online chat?
So it's just been online. There's so we've been friends online for years. Like Sanjira, we met in back in the days of Skype in like 2013, 2014. And I still have a core group of friends who are met in probably 2012 or so, just over Skype. And Sanjira and I have met once in real life. it was a couple years ago, and then actually later this month, in like literally 2 to 3 weeks, I will be flying to alongside Sanjira to Sweden to meet up with one of our friends, also known from brick filming, and we're Silly Pent is actually going with us, or he's flying from Ireland, and we're all just gonna have a big hangout for about a week. So it started off as online, and then we've had a couple chances to hang out in real life, which is really fun.
Speaking about, the communities and stuff, I think not as much as a problem in the last couple years, but I think for a while now there's been this stigma in the community of the people who do only original brick films and the people who do a lot more branded brick films, almost like Batman, Marvel, Star Wars. Do you have any opinions on like the kind of clashing of whether one is better or, if they can coexist?
So that's one of the things you cover in the iceberg. Yeah, so it's been a long standing debate, and my personal feelings. I'm just myself. I'm not a huge fan of like the IP based brick films. Now there are some great ones, I mean, going back to Fancy Pants, The Force Unleashed. There's some really great stuff in there, and even like people like Edbound has great stuff when it comes to like the Thorin 9.5 minutes was like such a great video. I think there is a bit of a stigma, partially because a lot of those brick films are made by younger brick filmers who don't have a lot of experience, so sometimes the technical quality isn't great. So I think there is a bit of that correlation between those, and also I think it's because those are stories and characters that are kind of pre-made, and those often get a lot more views because of the brand recognition. So there is a certain aspect where I'm like, if you spend all your time creating your own stories and your own worlds, and then you spend all that time on it, and it doesn't get as many views as I don't want to say disposable, but like very similar brick films of sometimes like less technical quality, it can sometimes feel a little bit unfair. But at the same time, it's just the nature of how it goes. Like, you can't be mad at people just going to what is recognizable. Like, I understand it, and I don't think it's necessarily a problem. I understand both sides of it, but I think there's a little bit to be learned on both sides of it. But yeah, I personally don't have a problem with it. I do think sometimes I do wish, instead of like, oh, I wish these videos didn't get so many views, it should rather be, I wish YouTube's algorithms like worked to boost like original, quote unquote original, non-IP brick films in the way that they used to. And 10, 15 years ago, like quote unquote original brick films would get so many more views than they do now, and that, I think that sucks. I wish those brick films had the same opportunity as IP brick films, but I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with them, and people should go based on what they love. And I think that's partially as a result of Lego like kind of leaning more into IP brick films over the years. So like, I get it. Like, there's no problem with it.
Yeah, I mean that's a nice view to have. I agree with you. Both sides kind of have their own aspects. I know me and Dragon do a lot of both, and you definitely see the ones with Batman or Marvel on the thumbnail definitely get 10 times as many clicks, and it can kind of be painful. But like you said, it is what it is. So one last question here is, a lot of long-term brick filmers that I talk to feel that the current brick film community is, they call it like fractured or shattered among Discord, YouTube, Reddit, Instagram, all these different places, versus it used to be just a couple of sites. So where is your favorite place to watch brick films?
I mean, I'm a little bit biased, I would say, but yeah, it's the brick films that come to Bricks and Mushrooms. Yeah, I mostly watch brick films. I'm at a point in my life where I'm 23 and I have like a full-time job, and I I have a whole like separate life and everything, and I don't mean this to like sound like looking down. I don't mean it like that, but I have just gotten to a point where in my life where I don't really watch a whole bunch of brick films, at least in the past, like, I don't know, maybe a couple years, unless, they're of like enough like notice that I'm like, oh, okay, I'll spend the time to watch this. It's just, I think I personally have just gotten to an age where unless I hear something like notable about it, I just can't be watching a whole bunch of Brickfilms, and it's time restraint. But yeah, for me right now, it's just Bricks in Motion. Like there'll be buzz about like Brickfilms that come through Bricks in Motion. I'll give them a watch. But on the point where the community is fractured, I do agree. Like, and I think it's a result of social media and different platform. Like the more and more platforms come out, brick filming will find its way onto it somehow. Like there's probably I don't know this, but there's probably a TikTok community about brick filming. I'd assume there is. I don't know. But I know there like definitely is like an Instagram community, and that's something that I think again is a great thing. But I do, and this might be just from my own experience of being on Bricks in Motion when things were a bit more centralized. I do think it's a great thing when communities can come together and be kind of located in one place, or at least a couple places. Because even back in the day, there was still there's still Bric-a-Brac, there was Brick Filmers Guild, there's a couple other places back then, but back then it wasn't as like fractured as it is now. But yeah, that's just my perspective on it.
Yeah, quick follow up to that actually. Speaking of the TikTok and Instagram and even YouTube Shorts communities now, do you have any opinions on the vertical videos, specifically in the brick film community, that are on a rise?
I don't know. I think there's a little bit of boomer in me that's like, it can't be vertical. And I mean, I do believe there is a certain, I don't want to say objective because, of course, no, this is objective. There are certain, I'll say, quote unquote, objective reasons why I think horizontal video is better. I mean, but then again, you have people like Sanjira breaking the mold when it comes to more narrow aspect ratios when it comes to that. I think as long as people are intent for videos to be in a certain aspect ratio, like more, whether it be vertical or more narrow, I don't think that's necessarily a problem, just as long as people are aware of it. And I would say I would recommend making the most out of using that, like visually, like have there be a reason to have it in that aspect ratio. Like Sanjira, I think his brick films are, I don't know if they're exact squares or they're very near it, but the way he sets up his sets, and especially with the I don't know if you've seen his work, but like the multi-plane, like top down videos, the way he has his camera above shooting down, that's very intentional and works to the story that he's telling. So it's all integral to the story that he's telling, not just doing it for the sake of, oh, I should put it on YouTube Shorts, and it has to be like, don't shoot a video horizontal and crop it in vertical. But yeah, I'm sorry if I'm ranting a little bit, but
No, I mean I mostly agree. I'm quite a traditionalist when it comes to film,
yeah.
so I do post shorts, but it pains me to do so.
Yeah, well, we did have a couple months ago. We had one of the Lego Ambassador Network projects that Penta, Silly Penta, and a couple others did from Bricks in Motion, where it was done on YouTube Shorts, where I think it had to be a square aspect ratio, so people posted their videos on Shorts, where basically like it was one Lego set that multiple people animated shorts for Lego. And yeah, they posted it through the Shorts. So and again, they filmed that with the intention of doing it in that aspect ratio. So as long as it's integral to your work, then yeah.
Hmm. Well, it's been great talking to you. Everyone should definitely go and check out the Bricks in Motion various platforms, YouTube, Discord, everything else.